Good evening from Millersville University. I'm Nathan Claycomb, Assistant Director of Alumni Engagement and a proud 2001 alumnus. We're coming to you live tonight from the Rafters Theater in Dutcher Hall, the oldest building on campus. Welcome to the President's Alumni and Friends Listening Tour. This is your opportunity to engage in a candid and lively conversation with MU President Dr. Daniel Wubah. Now, here's how this will work tonight. You can participate by simply clicking on the link below this broadcast to share your Ville story. We'll do our best to incorporate your thoughts and questions and ideas with Dr. Wubah throughout the evening. This is our opportunity to learn about the past, present, and future of this fine institution. And now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Millersville University's 15th president, Dr. Daniel A. Wubah. Dr. Wubah came to Millersville with a distinguished record of service as a senior-level administrator at Washington and Lee University, Virginia Tech, the University of Florida, and James Madison University. He has been a dedicated professor, mentor, and scholar in the fields of microbiology and botany for over 3 decades. In addition to his roles on campus, Dr. Wubah is very active in the community and beyond. He will be joining the boards of the Lancaster Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the Lancaster County Community Foundation in January of 2019. And he is a member of several committees in professional organizations and national advisory boards. Dr. Wubah earned his bachelor's degree with honors from the University of Cape Coast in Ghana, a Master's of Science from the University of Akron, and a PhD from the University of Georgia. He and his wife, Dr. Judith Wubah, have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. Dr. Wubah, thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you for inviting me.
Now, as we begin, your presidency started back here in July at Millersville, and your first priority was to hear from the greater community who love MU. So would you please tell us a little bit more about the Alumni and Friends Listening Tour?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. When I arrived in July, one of my first goals was to learn more about the institution and get to hear about what the institution is all about, understand the culture, and also meet people as part of my own learning process on this campus. So in order to achieve that goal, I started this listening tour. And for this semester, we have 40 of these listening tours scheduled. As we speak now, I've done 30 of those tours already, listening sessions already. And this is the 31st one. And I'm so pleased and glad to have an opportunity to talk to our alumni through this medium. So the purpose of this evening is to get an opportunity to share my thoughts and also learn more about this institution.
Great. And there are actually 3 specific questions that you've posed to our alumni and friends.
Yes. Typically, when I meet audiences for this listening tours, I use 3 questions. The first one is, what are we doing best as an institution? The second question is, what are we not doing that we can do better? And the third one has to do with, what are the hopes and aspirations of our constituents? So if possible, this evening, I'd like us to use the same format.
Excellent. And so we do have some comments that have come in over the past several weeks. And I'll remind those of you watching the live broadcast right now that you can go to the website and that you're already on, and click down below and submit your responses to Dr. Wubah's 3 questions. So let's first take a look at what do we do best here at Millersville University. There's a few responses I'd love to share with you. Our first comment tonight comes from an alum who happens to also be a parent of a current student and is on staff here at Millersville. She says, Millersville University has great people. We have a faculty who have a passion for teaching. We have front-facing staff who are also experts in their fields and are eager to shape the development of young people. We have a backline staff who are good at what they do and wake up each day wanting to do their best for the institution. There can be a small community feel to this mid-sized institution.
I fully agree with the thoughts of our alum. And let me start by saying that I'm a believer of the fact that in any organization, the greatest assets are the people. And in this case, for Millersville University, we are very blessed to have outstanding people, ranging from our committed faculty, our dedicated staff, and very good cohort of students who come in every year. Now, as a result of this combination, we have a campus where we have caring people who take good care of not only our students, but also the entire community. And our alums play a great role in this effort. Let me give you an example of an environment where everybody cares for each other. I was talking to a group of staff members recently, and one of them, who is a custodian, actually asked a question. He said, every now and then I do see some of our students on this campus who appear to be under stress or need some kind of help. And as a custodian, am I allowed to help them? And that question by itself told me that here is someone who cares for our students, though it is not his responsibility to be in front of students to teach them, but the fact that he cares enough to ask such a question tells me that we have a group of people on this campus who are dedicated to the education of our students. So I do agree, with what the alum said, that we have dedicated staff, outstanding and committed faculty, and students who get the best experiences that they can get on our campus.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. One of the ways that we do this is preparing students for the future. And we have an alum from the class of '72 down in Florida, Stacy. He wrote us and said, we are preparing students well for graduate studies.
I would even go beyond that. It's true that we prepare our students for graduate studies, but as we know, some of our students end up going to professional schools when they graduate from Millersville University. Some of them take off a year or two before they get a full-time job. But at the end of the day, I think what Millersville does very well is that we prepare our graduates so that they will be engaged citizens no matter where they find themselves. And I think that's a key characteristic of this university, where we educate them in a holistic manner, not only in a particular skill, but educate them by adding value to their lives. And that, I think, is very important. That's one of the characteristics of this university because of our focus on liberal arts education. So I do agree with what Stacy said.
Mm. And one of our current students completely agrees and also wrote to say this: MU treats all students wonderfully and tries to make everyone feel welcome.
Very true. We have a very welcoming campus. I'll give you an example of that. In my short time here, I've taken part in 3 open houses where parents, of prospective students bring their sons or daughters on a Saturday morning to look at our campus. And in all cases, each of these 3 sessions, we actually have students lining up right from the junction, on North George Street, all the way to the SMAC. And I hear parents talk about it, that is very unusual to go to an open house and have students line up on the street for almost half a mile, welcoming you to the campus. That is just an example of the campus that we have on this campus. And it's not made up. We do that because we truly believe that everyone who comes to this campus should be welcomed and treated in the best possible manner.
So true. Millersville still offers quality education at a reasonable price. This came in from a faculty member and alum as well. The size of the institution guarantees students a hands-on experience with faculty and staff who are mentors, friends, advocates, and supporters in addition to being instructors. The degrees offered are relevant to today's market and job opportunities, particularly through relationships established through previous internships and job shadowing. It is still possible to graduate in 4 years within a reasonable amount of debt to manage.
That's a very good point. And I will take each of these points that you've talked about in sequence. The first one has to do with affordability. As we all know, in this day and age, higher education is currently something that not everyone can afford to participate in because of costs. And in this case, we make every effort to provide students the opportunity to graduate on time by offering the courses in such a good sequence, a frequency, that they'll be able to take their classes and be able to graduate within the 4 years if that is what they so choose. In addition to that, we also offer winter classes and summer classes for our students. All that is geared towards helping our students to graduate on time. When we talk about student-faculty interactions, of all the institutions that I've been to, I don't think there's any that has really come up with such an intentional way of providing students an opportunity to interact with faculty. I'll give you an example. We currently have the Imagine the Possible campaign that's ongoing, and 50% of the goal, that is 16 million, is going to be dedicated towards enhancing faculty-student interaction. That says a lot about our goals or our priorities as an institution. In addition to that, we are raising $10 million to provide scholarships, and this would go to our students who need assistance. And then finally, we have $6 million that will go to athletics. I think the Imagine the Possible campaign is an indication of what this university is all about. Provide students opportunities to interact with faculty, to be able to get the best experience and graduate on time at a very low cost as much as possible. That is what we aim to do. And we will need the help of alumni and friends and parents to make that possible for all our students.
And if you want to learn more about the Imagine the Possible campaign and contribute to it, because every amount that you give matters to our students, you can visit imagine.millersville.edu, learn about the 3 priorities, and align with one of those today. Thank you so much, Dr. Wubah. So moving on to our second question, you've asked, what are we not doing at the university? And so we did have a few responders. Give us some thoughts on that as well. Our first is Jean, an alumna from the class of 1983. And Jean says, we could potentially better leverage technology to make teaching and learning more effective, including teleconferencing software and online learning. What are your thoughts on technology?
Well, I would say using technology in this day and age in higher education is basically the best way to approach the whole enterprise. Why do I say that? We are living in a world now that we are embedded in technology. In whatever we do, we are impacted one way or the other by technology. And let me give examples of how Millersville is currently making efforts to use technology to enhance the whole learning experience. The first one would be the use of online courses. We make efforts to provide students opportunities to take online classes in addition to the face-to-face classroom classes. We have hybrid classes, or hybrid courses. We have blended courses where students can combine both online classes with in-classroom experiences. That makes a big difference. Now, in addition to that, we are making all efforts to provide students opportunities during the holidays, during the winter break, or during the summer. Some of our students who, let's say, have to travel abroad, or even if they are in the United States, if they are working, we provide them an opportunity to take classes online. That is the good use of the technology, so they can still do their work during the summer or do their travels and still take classes while they are away from the university. With regards to teleconferencing, we have, on this campus, opportunities for students who can actually take classes, in the classroom where, they can link up to other classes beyond our campus through telecommunications. And I think teleconferences, it's not at the early, it's at maybe the mid-stage, but we can do more and more of that as a university. So I do agree with Jean that we are always looking for opportunities to use technology to help our students in their entire learning process.
Thank you. Our next respondent wrote, we would benefit from increased collaboration with the business community. What are your hopes for our local partnerships?
The town and gown relationships is key to any university, in any town in this country. Because not only are the local industries going to support or that's employ our students, but it is very, very important to partner with them because universities as a whole are basically engines of economic mobility. And so for our students, by coming to the university, we should be preparing them to be able to go back to the job market, to the labor force. And these local industries often look up to the universities to educate the labor force for them. Within our local community here, as most of you are aware, Millersville is very close to Lancaster. And so we have a very strong partnerships with industries in Lancaster. And we are actually blessed to be in, that's a cosmopolitan area where we have one of the most active chambers of commerce, across the Commonwealth. Currently, we have more than 2,000 companies that are affiliated with the local Chamber of Commerce. And as you said earlier, I've been invited to serve on the board of directors. So that will provide us an opportunity to work with our local industries so that we'll be able to educate our students to fill these skills that are needed, by these companies in the local region. So I have a very strong interest and passion for setting up partnerships with the local industries. It's a win-win situation.
Certainly. Thank you so much. We have another respondent who recently said they'd like to know about your vision to create a greater sense of unity among staff, faculty, and students as we carry out the mission of Millersville University here on campus.
Okay. When it comes to the vision, that's my vision for the university, as I've been saying from day one, I truly believe that the best way to develop a vision is to develop one that is shared by the entire community. That means as an individual, I can't impose my vision on the institution. And the listening to us is actually one of the steps towards creating a shared vision. I want to hear from our constituents, our alumni, our friends, our faculty and staff, to help us craft a shared vision that we all see ourselves in and can work together to accomplish. And in short, I see us as an institution that is very well positioned to become a national institution of great reputation. And this will start with having very good programs that meet, they will meet the timely needs of the local industries and will prepare our students so that they'll be able to excel not only at their first jobs, but in their entire life. In creating the unity that's among our constituents, it starts with having a campus where everybody sees him or herself as contributing towards this shared vision. And in addition to the conceptual framework of saying, I'm part of this vision, there are a few things that we can do that we already started, to create unity on our campus. The first one is to create a vibrant campus where everybody says hello when you meet someone. That's the first start. And I try to do that very often. Anyone I see on this campus, I greet them. Okay. Secondly, we just had our garden supper a couple of months ago. That provided an opportunity for faculty and staff to come together. I actually heard some faculty members say that's the only opportunity they get to interact with staff members. And then thirdly, we are thinking about at the end of the year, sometime in the spring, we'll have a luncheon for the entire campus where faculty and staff will come to interact with each other, get a chance to say hello to each other, and talk informally as well as formally about where we are heading as a university. So those are all some of these approaches by which we'll work together as a united front.
That's an exciting future for us, Dr. Wubah. We had a few comments come in related to the increased need for private support and scholarship, and we did mention the campaign initiative earlier. Can you touch a little bit more on scholarships and the importance of that for students today?
Okay. Scholarships are so important for a majority of our students, specifically because we have quite a fair amount of our students who are first-generation students, so cost is an issue for them to be able to accomplish their goal of getting a degree from Millersville University. For those students, as the president and working with my cabinet, we often think of ways by which we can lower the cost of attendance. And in addition to that, for those who we need to provide additional help and support, to find ways to provide, that kind of support. And I often, I believe that the president is the chief fundraiser for the university. The vice president for advancement leads the effort, but the president has to be very committed to fundraising to acquire these resources to support our students. And there's a greater need for our institution to provide scholarships for our students than on other campuses. So I'm deeply committed to that, to work, with our advancement vice president and all our constituents to generate these resources for our students. I truly believe in that there are some students on this campus that without that assistance, they would never be able to accomplish their aim of getting a Millersville degree. So I have a deep commitment to that.
Thank you. Our final question this evening. What are your hopes and aspirations for Millersville University? And as a reminder, we have the live broadcast right now. You can click below to submit your Ville story and share with us what your hopes and aspirations are for Millersville University as well. But Dr. Wubah, we did have several of these come in over the past couple of weeks. And the first one I'd like to start with tonight is Amy, who is a legacy alum. So in other words, she has a student here at Millersville, and she herself is an alum as well. She's from the class of 1991, and she says, more alumni providing learning opportunities and career experiences for today's students are one of her hopes and aspirations.
Thank you, Amy, for your thought on that. It's actually in line with what I've been talking about since I arrived on this campus. We have 66,000 living alums, and we have a population of 8,000 students. Mathematically, each student can have 8 alums serving as mentors for the student. And I think that is something that we should strive or make an effort to provide each of our students a mentor who is an alum or a parent of another student who can help them in navigating that in their professional careers. So I believe one of the benefits of the alums helping our students is to help them in the mentoring process, the networking process that will enable them to succeed when they go into the real world. For example, providing them internships is one way by which we can get them to help our students to excel before they graduate or when they graduate to get good jobs. So any mentor, any alum who is out there who is ready or willing to help us with this partnership, please let us know. We are really working hard to develop this mentoring program. And if done right, we believe Millersville will be the first PASHI institution that will have this history or the program on campus that every student who comes here will get an alum who will serve as a mentor. And that can distinguish us from our other PASHI institutions.
And I remember back in 2000, 2001, as I was preparing to graduate from Millersville, I not only had an internship that set me up for future success, but there was also an alum who I connected with in the workforce and connected me to my first job. So that's such valuable, valuable insight. And for those of you who are watching tonight who are alumni, we do have a website for VilleAlumni.com. That is how you as an alum can connect back with your alma mater and let us know how you'd like to help today's students succeed and become tomorrow's powerful alum throughout the world. The next comment tonight comes from a student here at Millersville, Caitlin Dinsmore. Caitlin is a senior majoring in social studies, and she says one of her hopes is that she'd like to see even more involvement from the administration on campus. She says, now I'm sure you're all very busy running the best campus ever, but maybe you could take some time each day to walk around and chat with the students. I promise that we don't bite. Honest.
Well, Caitlin, thank you very much for your comment. The truth is there's always room for improvement. But since I arrived on this campus, especially since classes started, I've always made it a point to walk around campus whenever I get the opportunity. And when walking around campus, I always try to talk to students. I will stop, I will chat with them. For example, nowadays I do talk about the fact that before classes started, it took me about 3 to 5 minutes to walk from Beamsdale to the SMAC. But since classes started, it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes because I stop, I chat with students, and to me, that is very, very important. So, Caitlin, I would assure you that I hear you loud and clear. We will continue interacting with students because that is what we are all about. And as a campus, I believe saying hello to each other, greeting each other will create this vibrant environment for all of us to accomplish our goal of educating the best students that we have on this campus.
Thank you, Dr. Wubah, and thank you, Caitlin, for your comments as well. Next, we have an alum who says, to move the institution forward, we need to insist on levels of student achievement equal to the finest undergraduate colleges in the USA regarding knowledge and skills in preparation of students whose degree programs deal specifically with professional preparation, most especially in teacher preparation.
That's a very good point. Teacher preparation is in our DNA. As an institution, we started as a normal school and we became a teacher preparation institution. And so we would always, prepare our students who are interested in going into the classroom. There's no doubt about it. But let me talk further about, that's preparing students for, that's the future world. And we are currently living in a world where, unlike previously where a student could graduate, get a job at one institution and stay there for their entire careers, students are now going to change careers very often. So our goal at this institution is to provide them the skill set that no matter their professions would enable them to adapt to the changing world, where technology is moving at a faster pace than we can imagine. So how do we do that? We can think about the 4 C's that we often talk about. Teach them how to be creative, that's the first C. Teach them how to communicate both verbally and in the written form. Teach them to be able to collaborate, be part of a team. And finally, teach them to be critical thinkers so that they can take a problem, dissect it, and then solve it. I believe that is what we see in world-class institutions. That's how those students are educated. And that is what we are doing at Millersville. Our goal is to make sure that they are well prepared for whatever profession they choose for themselves. And as we speak now, for most of our students on our campus at the moment, they would end up in positions or they will end up in professions that have not even been invented yet. So providing them with these 4 C's will actually prepare them for the future jobs that have not been created. And that's what we are interested in doing at Millersville.
Finally tonight, we have a student here on campus, Jordan, a junior English major. She wrote us to say this: I hope that we continue to advance our programs by offering new courses with highly skilled professors. I hope that we focus on the academic, mental, emotional, and physical well-being of our students before anything else. I also hope that Millersville will be understanding of students' financial situations, trying to lower costs, but without watering down the quality of the education. I hope that the university will provide me with many opportunities for research and prepare me for a graduate program and a fulfilling life. I really believe that Millersville, with all of those things, would be the greatest state university in Pennsylvania and honestly, one of the best universities in the country.
Well, Jordan, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts with us. I believe what you said is exactly what we are striving to do as an institution. And just taking a few of the points that you made. Just this evening, my chief of staff and I were actually meeting with about 40 honors students. And the purpose of this meeting was to share with them opportunities for them to apply for scholarships and fellowships at the national level. That is the kind of experiences that we want to provide to all our students. We have very qualified and able students on this campus who need opportunities. We need to give them the opportunity for them to excel. And I believe that given the commitment of our faculty and also given the fact that we have students who are really interested in learning and willing to go the extra mile, when we have these 2 components together in the right environment, the only outcome will be excellence. And that is what we are striving to do on this campus. With regards to the affordability, as I mentioned earlier, that is always on top of our list. We want these students to get the best and quality holistic education at a very reasonable cost. And the way we do that is to keep working with our constituents in terms of developing a very strong resource base. And this gives me an opportunity to talk to our alums to help us to accomplish our mini campaign that we currently have ongoing. Ultimately, it would only better our institution by providing support for our students. The last thing I would say is the student-faculty interaction is so key to us as an institution. For example, you may have heard about the Made in Millersville program. That is one in which students who work with our faculty members get a chance to present their work in the spring semester. In addition to that, just this year, we've started a new program called the Morada Fund. And this Morada Fund actually provides real money, not paper money. This year, we've given a group of students $250,000 to actually trade on the stock market. And in the past 6 months, our students are beating the stock market in the sense that their returns are higher than them. That is the Millersville experience we are talking about. And that is what we will need the support of our alums, our friends, and parents to make possible to all our students.
Thank you, Dr. Wubah. We definitely appreciate all of your insights this evening as you respond to our alumni and friends, students, faculty, and staff's comments about the vision and future for Millersville University. As we conclude the live stream this evening, we'd love to hear any final thoughts that you may wish to share.
Thank you very much, Nathan. And I want to thank all of you who have joined us online to spend this past few minutes with us. I'm really looking forward to hear from our alums, our parents of our students, faculty and staff as we develop this shared vision for our university to be among the best in the country, starting with being among the best in PASHI, being the best in the Commonwealth, and ultimately being the best public comprehensive university in the country. And we can do it. But the only way we can do it is do it together with the support of our alumni, constituents, and everyone who is interested in helping Millersville be the best it can be. Thank you very much. I appreciate the time I've gotten to talk to you about my thoughts for this university. We are a fine university, and we can only get better.
Well, we thank you for your leadership and for your determination to a collective vision, and also for spending time with us this evening and with our alumni and friends around the world. Now, for those of you who may be watching the recording of this live stream, don't worry, you can get in on the action too and submit your Ville story. You can simply click on that link, share your story with Dr. Wubah, and by participating in the President's Alumni and Friends Listening Tour, you can help shape Millersville's future and assist today's students to imagine the possible. Thank you so much, and good night.